So I'm a game designer. I make video games. You know, the ones your students are probably playing instead of doing their homework assignments? Yeah. So I feel a little out of place here, I have to be honest. But school was a formative place for me with gaming, amazingly enough. Back in the, Apple II days, in the computer lab, where we were supposed to be doing our typing, instead I was playing Moon Patrol. Game design is a real job. I can tell my mom that. I'm paid to do this. I've been making video games professionally for about 14 years. The last 5 have been with Disney. So, as a cast member, thank you for coming to Walt Disney World and supporting our company. The last 5 years I've spent basically making superheroes. Games is a big business. 2015, Super Data estimates that they did about $74 billion in sales. And so, there's a lot of money, a lot of time being spent on this stuff. But why is it so important? Why, are we talking about it in front of a bunch of educators? So I'm just going to do a really quick kind of whirlwind tour through games and play, why they're important, a little bit about how we make games, and also I'm going to throw in a little bit about failure in work and play, and why it's important in learning as well. So, first of all, how are we going to be defining play? We all play. Animals play, kids play, even adults play. And we all take play very seriously when we're doing it. But not so much when we're not doing it. Another name for this is the magic circle. That we create this space for play where it's completely serious, it has its own set of logic and rules. It's almost ritual play. This magic circle is the border between the real world and play. He was one of the first to study this, and he observed that play really defines culture, and also play helps us learn. In fact, I think one of my favorite ways to think about play is it's a safe way to experiment and fail. And when I'm playing with my daughter, letting her fail over and over again. This one's not mine, but mine catches the ball the same way. Until we finally learn, which unfortunately this is just a loop and we never will. So sad. He's also convinced that play is informative for culture, which is a little bit, more abstract. He points out how the courtroom is kind of like play. We have these folks in various uniforms. You have a referee and a judge. You have the jury, who is almost like a scorekeeper. Folks arguing in a very special language. The rules are special in that space. And maybe more appropriately lately, he argues that elections are a form of play. We have our teams. We're probably all on one of the big ones. We have our team colors and our mascots. We even refer to it as a race. I like to think that fun is when our brains reward us for play. Give us a little dose of serotonin. And there's a couple ways, we do this, we see this. When we learn something new, we do that while we're playing. If we survive a threat, we complete a task, or we contribute to a group. Oh, that's fun. When we're surprised. So how does play then go, just free form to being a game? Well, we start to add rules. The boundaries of that magic circle are the rules. The floor is lava is probably, one of the best single rule games I can think of. Oscar Barda again, games are just play formalized. We can't play chess until we both agree on the rules. Once those rules are defined, now it's become a game instead of just, I'm playing cops and robbers enough to shoot you once, you're dead. But I'm playing, tag, so I'm going to touch it. This is Space War. It's probably the earliest example of a modern video game. Video games are just games where we enforce those rules via computation. So code is literally written rules that a computer has to follow. We can follow those rules very quickly. So computer games, video games, are often a lot more complex than those ones you can play in the playground or board games. But we still organize those rules into kind of a second magic circle. We call this the game loop. A cue is presented on a screen, I perform some input, something happens on the screen as the computer interprets that input. Even at the most fundamental levels, most games are written in a loop. While Mario has more than 0 lives, you get to play. Otherwise, game over. Tic-tac-toe is an example of a game with a single loop. Say, make a mark until 3 marks are in a row, where the board is full. Repeat until done. In designing video games, we'll find a core loop, but we can build a whole bunch around it. So the core might be, fight a battle and earn rewards. Increase my power, take on more difficult battles. The supporting might be, well, I need to, go out and explore the world to find all the bad guys. I need to work with friends and build a team. But oftentimes we're talking still about systems that can be refined into simple loops. And then we often try and optimize those loops to maximize the fun. Now, some of you guys, you might recognize this as a Skinner box. A tool used by psychologists to experiment on rats and occasionally gamers to test what is known as operant conditioning. So, basic theory is the strength of a behavior is modified by the behavior's consequences, such as a reward or punishment. And we find that some reward behaviors are more efficient than others. If that rat only randomly gets a reward, it's going to be pressing that bar for more often and faster. So Candy Crush Saga, Clash of Clans, Pokemon Go, these are excellent examples of where a potent combination of play and those behavioral cues kind of reinforce it. So how many people have one of those installed on their phone? Yeah. So now we kind of have an idea of what is play and what is a game. How do you make these things? There's people somewhere in offices actually punching these things out. Before we get started really on that part, though, I want to give a message to everybody who knows a teacher, most of you. Things might have changed a little bit since I was in school, but a common complaint was, when am I ever going to use this in the real world? When am I going to use this math skill? I don't know. So when you hear that, when your teachers hear that, tell them to say, do you want the coolest job? Because I hear that every time I tell somebody what I do. And game developers use everything that we learn in school. Every single thing. The math, the trigonometry, the geometry, the physics. We use the history, grammar, art history. Half my design team has a formal art history education. Even speech can come in handy. Never know when you're going to be talking to an audience. So, let's go through some of the folks who are making these games. We can break it down kind of into 5 main disciplines. The first is the producers. These are kind of your coordinators. These are the guys who work well with others, the coordinate teams, the budgets, schedules. They're also the face of the team. Guys you'll see in interviews if you're keeping in the industry news and so forth. They're also responsible for shipping, actually getting the game out to the players. They're the ones who head to a roll if it doesn't work, and have to lose sleep over it actually happening. They're faced with the impossible task of coordinating a large group of very intelligent people who are very creative and often disagree. Second discipline, programmers. Probably know some of these guys with all the tech that's flowing into this world. The coders, right? They translate the rules into languages that computers can understand. The linguists in some of this. They also build tools for the rest of the team to use. They're very specialized in graphics, user interface. Artificial intelligence is a big one in gaming. They're not necessarily, the math whizzes, but they're masters of formal logic. It's interesting. They're also the best paid, so if you're interested in that fact, that's a good one to know. They like to tell me that an engineer, programmer, is a machine that turns caffeine into video games. Thirdly, I've got designers. This is what I do. We're the guys who write the rules. Communication is key in our world because we have to tell all the other teams what the vision of the game is. We actually spend probably half our day in Word and Excel. Another half is in meetings. It's the coolest job, right? We're kind of data entry professionals. But we hold the vision of the game and we have to communicate how numbers on a spreadsheet are going to make something fun. Next up, artists. So these guys, they build the worlds of gaming habits. They're talented illustrators, sculptors, animators, composers, voice actors. You know, these guys are going to take that world of numbers and try and translate it into a universe that the players are going to be occupying. Finally, kind of the lowest on the totem pole, but it's always the low that holds up the rest of the pole, right? These are testers. These are the ones who are paid to play games all day. The only guys who are paid to do that all day long. It actually gets boring, believe me. It's often an entry point into the industry. But these guys are experts at breaking things. It comes with an unfortunate responsibility, though, that you spend most of your day telling people what they did poorly. All day, every day, sometimes with quotas. I don't know if you guys are. So that's 5 groups of people who do very different things. I haven't even mentioned like marketing, or customer support, legal, all of the other disciplines that surround that entire industry. And depending on the game, you're going to find that they come in very different sizes. A single person can make an entire game in a small one. But the team that made Assassin's Creed Unity, this is only a portion of them. There were 1,100 people on the project.
Wow.
So I'm going to go through a little bit about the actual process. How we go from, first, this would be a good game, to shipping it. So, start with a concept. Go ahead and say, hey, I think it'd be fun to jump on mushrooms. You take that to somebody who, take it a little bit for everybody. It's an old game. Take it to somebody who has enough money to pay your team, right? Get the green light. You take that and you prototype it. You find the fun. You try and figure out what exactly is going to make this game great. Take it to pre-production. This is a point where those producers really start to come in handy. Because they're going to tell you, well, if you want to make that game, it's going to take you 4 years and 1,100 people. Or, I think we can fit that in before Christmas. Take that to production, where everybody joins up. You have all these people trying to work together, trying to fit various tasks of various sizes, get it all done in time. Everything goes smoothly there, you get to ship it. Get out in the hands of the players. For most games these days, that's not where it stops. They continue to be products that are live, called software as a service. I know some of you vendors hear that. Same with games. Continue to update, add new content, add new gameplay. If you tell it stops making money or costs too much to run. Making a game is a group project. A lot of the meat of game development is 3 to 6 people in a room with a whiteboard, collaboratively solving problems. This is an actual whiteboard from my office. I have no idea what they are trying to do here. We've got guitar solos and the Valley of Suffering, a lot of math. But this is really, where a lot of this comes in. We find a problem. How do we solve this? I don't know. Well, let's get some folks together. Part of the problem is that games are expensive to make. You've got large teams of highly paid professionals spending years to make even simple games. Marvel Adventures Alliance 2 is a cell phone game, whatever. It's not on Xbox. Costs over $5 million to make. For every game that makes it through to production, to ship, 10 were killed in the development process. Ryan Beno here, he's an artist, Naughty Dog. They just shipped a game called Uncharted 4. Had a bunch of layoffs right afterwards, even though it was a very critically acclaimed game. It says challenge of making a game is sometimes like trying to build a house blindfolded. It's because you've got a couple guys who are holding this vision, trying to communicate to all these different disciplines. You don't know if that game is going to be fun until you actually play it, which is about where it says ship on that. Because you're not going to be able to play until most of the work's done. So how do we solve that problem? We fail fast and we fail often. All the time. Every single one of those little loops on there? That's iteration. And you notice there's a little tail off in a lot of places. That's where your game's going to die. Go pitch, you decide, no, that's not a mass market game, we can't make enough money. Prototype, you haven't found the fun. Keep trying, or you kill it. Pre-production, ooh, it's going to be really expensive. Kill it off. Even production, we're still iterating. We haven't found that fun yet, or we want to make it as fast as possible. Has to ship 1 million units at Christmas time. Finally get it out the door, get the players, and then we have live product. Now we know everything that's going on. This is the first game I worked with at Disney. A lot of my job is arguing about how numbers feel. When an idea shows promise, we iterate on it. It's kind of a scientific method, really. We form a hypothesis, we build an experiment, test it. If it works, great. Move on to the next experiment. If it fails, well, let's reform our hypothesis. Our executive producers spent a week sitting next to a programmer to put those yellow numbers to field goal. 2 highly paid professionals spending a whole week of time. That include all other meetings where we had to figure out how many digits are in that number. Should critical hits be yellow? So we play test often, because we don't know the answers. Like, well, maybe it should be green instead. We sit over their shoulders. We take a real player, and we watch them. And you know what? They couldn't figure it out. And that was our failure. We have to realize, oh man, as a designer, that's not the player's fault. We're the ones who have to go back, iterate again, solve those problems, and do it again and again. Fix it and try again. And then when we launch a game, is it done? I like to use an analogy of NASA done with a rocket once it launches. No, it's just the most terrifying part of the entire thing because it might blow up in your face. We're going to find all the real problems as soon as it hits the players. We'll be working twice as hard for the next couple months. Because we have all this great data coming in from our players, right? Now we have all the analytics. I know you guys were just talking about that too. All these numbers. We know everything there is to know about how people are using it. So now the new skill is we need to learn how to ask questions. I say it's like playing Jeopardy, but all the answers are graphs, and we might get laid off if we don't get it right. If we have time, if we still have resources, sometimes we'll solve some of those problems with what is known as a patch. It's another good term, because it's like putting a patch on a bike tire as you're rolling downhill. It's that development process miniaturized, but complete. You have to pitch it. You have to figure out what are the resources. You have to actually make it happen. You still have to ship it. And you have to make sure, again, that it's going to solve that problem. Sometimes it doesn't. All good things must come to an end. Sometimes products die. We call it sunset. It's a pretty word for a fail state. Right? We make all of our players angry, make all of our developers nervous, but it's no longer economically viable. And as a result, game development is not a stable career. Layoffs are happening all the time. Some of the biggest, most successful projects, I lay off most of the team right after they ship. So prevalent in our industry, we have a name for it. Time between jobs, we call it fun employment. It's when we get to play games. But it's a loop. We make games, we know, hey, you fail, you start again. In BioShock, Irrational Games, the makers of a series called BioShock, closed down in 2014. A whole bunch of new studios formed out of it. They're just starting now, 2 years later, to start releasing their games, but probably see a couple more studios that come out of this one shop. So, I have a couple takeaways that I'd like to, you guys to go away from this with. First, play is about learning and developing culture. And it's a safe way to experiment and fail. Games are just formalized play. And video games are hard to make. But, luckily, everything your students are learning right now, they can use to make them, make it easier. You need to be able to experiment and fail. You need to be able to do that with other people, right? And you might fail anyways. So it's critical you learn resilience. Because you might learn that you're out of a job in the next month, and let's go start another game company. So anyways, that's a very quick overview. I'll probably talk about each one of those slides for a week. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be around all week, and you can get me on any of these email or Twitter.